everybody. My name is Bailey. Welcome to Authors Go for Broke. I am so excited to have you here. There is someone who is extremely special to me, even though I only met her really just now, a few minutes ago. Her name is Christina Schwartz, and I cannot wait for you to get to know her. She is amazing. I do want to say there's a bit of a trigger warning in this video. We are going to be talking about some more serious topics, including domestic violence and some personal past trauma from the author. So I just wanted to give a little warning on that before we get started. So first, please let me introduce you to Christina. Hi.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so glad that you're here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, of course. Would you just give us a little bit of, tell everyone just a little bit about who you are and what's your name, just some basic information.
Yeah, so I'm from Spokane, Washington, here in the USA, since you're over there in France. Um, so I am a mom of three kids and married to my husband, Cody. I'm a hairstylist over here in Spokane, and yeah, grew up in a little tiny country town over here in Reardon. So a lot of people don't know that in my like now circle. They're like, wait, you grew up in the country? And I'm like, yeah. And they always ask, I don't know what it is about this, but they're like, during your PE, did you guys ever go cow tipping? And that is such a weird question. And I'm
Who
like,
asked that? Cow
so
tipping?
many people, so many people. And I'm
What?
like, no, we don't go rope cows and stuff during PE. Like, no, that's not it.
That is so funny. I would never ask that. I mean, I would never even think to ask that actually.
You would
Um,
think, but
and
I
I'm
don't
from
know how many
Colorado.
people,
I'm from
right?
Colorado. I've lived the mountain life. Like I've never been cow tipping either. If anyone's curious, it's not
I
a
haven't
thing.
either.
So you've been cutting hair. How did you get into that profession? Because you've been doing it for a very long time. I know that from reading your book a little bit.
Yeah, so I've been doing it for about 15 years now legally. So
Hey.
in high school, I went to Reardon until my junior year, and then I went to LC and in-town school my junior, senior year, and I did their cosmetology program through the high school. And then just loved it and went straight into it after high school. So yeah.
That's fantastic. I love that. There's this moment in your book where you actually mentioned that you had like shaved the logo of the Seahawks and your dad's and in the book was so intense that I totally forgot you were a hairstylist and I was like, who can do that? Who just can do that? I
It's
was
funny
like
because all of those years later, the Seahawks had went to the Super Bowl again this last year, and my
yes.
dad literally made me do it again because he's like, it was good luck last time, like we're gonna win it
Oh
again, and
yeah.
yeah, and I did it again, and then they won again. So
I'm
I mean,
sorry, you're
honestly,
gonna have to do that for the rest of your life. Those
every time.
superstitions.
I know. And he's 65 now. So like this man and like it didn't come out obviously like right away. So he's like walking around with the Seahawks on the side of his head. This 65-year-old man, like, oh my gosh.
If you're a sports fan, you're a sports fan. So I don't think he probably felt bad about that.
No. And like once it was rinsed out, it was still like shaved in the side and everyone's like, that's so awesome. I'm like, there you go, whatever you need to do. And his green beard lasted like for a whole month.
Oh my
So
gosh. You can probably like tell people you do that and they'll come into your shop and get their hair done.
I don't know if I have patience for that many people. It took me way too
Oh,
long.
okay, never mind. Never mind. She doesn't do that, everybody. She does not do that. Well, so this is the book NUMB by Christina Schwartz, and I would just really like for you to go ahead and just tell us a little bit about it.
Okay. Yeah, so it is obviously a little bit of a harder subject. It isn't a light read. So it is a book about domestic violence and breaking generational cycles. There's quite a few generations in my family that went through domestic violence, and In my book, I kind of bounce back and forth between timelines of when I was a child to some childhood traumas to kind of explaining my mindset of why I was accepting those behaviors and realizing it kind of in that time period too, that why I was accepting it and that it also felt like home in some weird mindsets. But yeah, I go kind of into depth in it. I wanted to write it in a way that explains it for people who haven't been through it, but also all of the gaslighting for all of the women who are like, oh my gosh, yeah, like that is exactly what it was, and I'm not crazy. So, yeah.
You did such a good job in writing that because you told the story from your point of view, but you brought in like the emotion of everyone around you, good and bad, you know, the people that reached a hand to help, the people that turned away. You showed everything and it was so raw and so and like you said, you even showed your thought process through the whole thing. So even though there are times where it was just like, oh my gosh, don't do that, it was like, oh, I see why she did that, you know? And it's like, I get where she's coming from, where you're coming from. And that was really helpful because it really explains everything as you go. And it made, I could not put the book down. I really could not. So in the book, I just wanted to ask, I'm pretty sure, did you keep the names of everyone in the book or are they changed for
No, they're all
purposes?
changed. And I'm very glad that I changed every single name because shortly after I had published the book, someone that I even spoke very highly of in the book, I was threatened of getting sued by them, which was very surprising to me, especially since I talked so nicely about them.
Oh no.
So
I
I'm very
was
glad that I changed every single person, even the dog.
okay, good. I mean, because it would be really hard to write a book about yourself and the people that you know and keep their names. Was it hard to actually write the book and like remember the fake names for each person and stuff? Was that
Yeah.
a
Yeah. I
difficult?
actually had a list in my notes because like I'd have to go back through and sometimes like for a lot of it, I actually wrote everybody's real name in it so then my brain could process it. And then as I kept editing, I was like, you know what? I need to like change this. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to like change everything. And so I had to go through and like find like the control find and like put their name in and make sure that I changed every single one.
Super
So,
edit it. So you might think you have all of
yep.
them, then there's just like one little name in there that
Yep.
blow the whole thing up. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What was everyone's reaction? Because obviously, the people in your life, if they read it to support you or read it, they're like, "Oh my God, I'm in this book." That must be. Did you have to tell them before even though you didn't do their names? Like, did you have to tell
Yeah.
them? Was it a surprise? Like,
Honestly, I felt like a lot of people didn't think that I actually like, I mean, a lot of people say, you know, I'm going to write a book or whatever, and not a lot of people actually publish it. And I, through the process, kept like telling like my family, hey, you know, like I'm writing a book. And I don't know if they just didn't take me seriously or, but
I
towards the
think that
end, and
happens
when
a
I was,
lot.
yeah. So, and even like, because my sister-in-law is actually the one who edited it. So, my brother, didn't know a lot of different stuff that really happened, you know, and as she was editing, you know, he would, you know, tell my brother, like, oh my gosh, do you remember this? Especially our childhood memories. That was another thing that was, my brother literally didn't know certain things that happened when he wasn't there. For example, of like before he came up the stairs, he's like, I didn't know that actually was what happened before I came up the stairs, but I remember that to a T of what happened. And, I also had to sit down or a conversation with my dad before just because, you know,
Mhm.
he wasn't the best person back in the day. And I do have a lot of trauma from it from my childhood, but my dad has truly changed into an incredible human being and I'm like really close with him now. And but I did have to tell him, like, hey, I am publishing this book and there are memories of my childhood in it. And he had interrupted me and he's like, I'm sure they aren't all good ones. And I'm like, yeah, they are. And he's like, yeah, well, it is what it is. Like, it happened, and he's taken ownership and apologized for, everything that has happened. And so, but I mean, everybody's kind of had different reactions because certain people didn't know that they were in there and they're like, oh my God, I'm in it. And like, so it's been kind of a different set of emotions for a lot of different people. So,
Okay. And because you did write it like a story, and what I mean by that is you could say, like, I'm writing this book about domestic violence or my trauma, and it could be like, if this is happening to you, this is what you shouldn't do, in kind of like a self-help book kind of a way. And maybe they were thinking that you were going to write something like that. But you wrote it as a story, as your life with the characters and the people. It's beautifully written. I swear I held my breath. I swear when I finished reading each chapter, each time I set it down, I was just like, oh my God, I don't think I was breathing that whole time. So it was so intense to read. And I'm sure when people actually read the book, they were like, and they felt what you're feeling. And especially if they remember, like you said, remembering pieces of that time, I bet that was maybe difficult if they didn't know what you were going through.
a lot of people didn't remember a lot of this stuff, or they didn't realize that it had that much to it. So, yeah.
Right. I wanted to talk to you about time. So you were fairly young when all of this got started. The man who you fell in love with, Josh, he was how much older than you at the time?
I think he was only a year or two older
Yeah,
than me.
you guys
Nothing,
are pretty
nothing too
close,
crazy.
but you were
Yeah,
like
it's like a
19 or
year.
20. You turned
Yeah.
21 in the story. So were you
Yes.
19 or 20 when you met? Probably
I think I
20?
was 19. I think I
19?
was 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, did you have
Maybe I
any?
was 20. I'm like trying to think.
It's
I'm
okay. It
sorry.
doesn't
I
have
don't
to
know.
be
I was
exact,
19 or
but you were
20.
young. You were young.
Yeah.
Do you feel like some of the emotions, some of the things that you said, okay, it was just because he was drunk, or it was just because I did this, I shouldn't have said this, those kind of little things that you let go on for a while? Do you think if you had, obviously, do you think if you had had that relationship when you were older in your 30s, 40s, do you think you would have let it go on as long, or do you think those were lessons you just had to learn? And because people don't think about the emotion that's entwined to it. I mean, you love this man too, and that is a powerful thing. So,
Yeah. I don't think at that age I truly knew what love was too, just because I didn't ever have like an actual good example of it.
if
Yeah.
you want me to.
I feel like it was something that I had to just go through. I don't know. I don't know if being older, like, because we all learn lessons as we age and become older and wiser. And I mean, obviously now I wouldn't fall for it, but I also learned those lessons younger. And I think it was just part of my story. And, that cliche saying of everything happens for a reason. And,
Yeah, I love your positive take on it. You've grown, and you're such a strong, brave woman for writing this all down, and I'm truly amazed with you.
thank you.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
And in the story, you had a friend named Abby. I think it was, so for Abby, it was the very first time you were maybe abused. And I believe she had went and like got all your stuff from his place and
So
everything
that was
like
after
that.
he cheated on me.
Okay, after he cheated on
Yeah.
you. So he cheated
Hmm.
on you, and then she was like friend mode, like, I'm going to get your stuff. I was like, yes, Abby, yes.
You go get him.
Yeah, I was like, get that stuff. So you're out of there. You're out of there. And what was her character kind of dwindled throughout the book, and so I was wondering what she thought when you said like, no, I'm back with him. If it was like, okay, and then if she stayed a friend throughout, or if she kind of distanced herself eventually.
She kind of distanced herself, but a lot of people in the story, I'm sure you could see they distance themselves, and that happens because abusers tend to isolate the victim, and you
Yes.
tend to lose more and more family and friends as time goes on, and people are tired of trying to get you out.
Yes.
And I can understand that, especially because the people that do know about it are such a small amount of people, because you're very embarrassed to tell people in a sense. I don't know. I don't know why, but when you're in it, I did not want to tell that many people. So, yeah.
Somewhere deep down, you know that you need to be treated better and this isn't okay. But at the same time, especially when other people are living their lives and they are maybe like, oh, I've got a great relationship. And you're kind of like, yeah, me too, and
Yeah.
you could easily kind of just throw that fib out there. I couldn't get a read on his friends. They were very like half the time they were like there's literally a part in it, and I'm gonna like quote it where it says, where someone in your book says, "We're not getting involved, just deal with it." And this was after a very, very intense moment. Um, I'm just thinking like, do they not care? Were they kind of scared of him too? Because even if you're a guy and you have a friend that just blows up all the time, you kind of not want to get in the middle of that. So I could never get a read on his friends. Can you just like tell me about it?
Yeah. Okay. So, his friends group, I think for the most part, a lot of them were just getting very sick of his behavior because he was not the ones in the military that like they didn't know fully all of the things, but the ones outside kind of, he got kicked out of his place. And I think all of them were just very sick of his volatile behavior. And, yeah, so they were just so sick of it, I think. And they also just thought, I'm going to end up beating the crap of him if I go over there. I don't know. I try to see the best in everybody, and maybe there was good intentions of like, they didn't want to go to jail that night or this, that, and the other. I don't know. Did it feel very lonely and like no one was there? Yeah. But then again, why didn't I call other people that I knew would come? I don't know. Because I'm sure if I called my brother, he would have been there. So,
Yes.
um, yeah, my middle brother that I'm very close with. So he would have definitely been there. And yeah, he probably would have ended up in jail too. But, I don't know.
My brother would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
to
and
protect
then
us.
exactly. And then the other one that you had brought up, Corey in the book that did defend me. So, a little context is that Corey is now my husband, actually. So as the story,
Now I have to go
through,
reread it.
yeah. So Corey throughout it, I mean, he was just another friend in the friends group. And actually, so the first time I actually met Corey was we were out at the lake, and he was with one of the other friends in the group that he was dating her. And, I only had eyes for my boyfriend at the time. And, at that point, I was head over heels for him. But Corey, I met out on a boat, and the first impression I got from this guy was like that he is just like this crazy, like party animal that like love him to death now, but like he just seems like he was crazy and he like showed a tattoo that was like on his butt cheek, like on the boat. And I was just like, what in the world is happening right now? Like, so anyway, so that's Corey, and he throughout the book, he's the one person in the friends group that just always had like this genuine character of, to the core of always like he would take his shirt off his back for really anyone and always just cared for people in such a kind, compassionate way. And after like the ending, he actually was the supervisor for my ex's visits as well. And
Okay.
so, yeah, we didn't start dating until Gavin was 2 after he got a divorce. So, yeah.
Okay. And how did he become the supervisor between?
Um, so I mean, there was only a certain list of people that we would allow or that I would trust, obviously, with his friends group. So,
Right.
because it also dwindled down and the less people that I like the other people that were actually genuine people and good people that I would trust with my child, didn't want to be around him. So it kind of made a list smaller and smaller, and we were trying to make it to where it was still people that we trusted. And Corey was one of those people that always had been there, and so he was the supervisor for the visits for I don't know how long, but not a long time. There wasn't very many that were fulfilled visits because the other person couldn't not drink before the visit. So yeah.
Okay. I just want to say first, congratulations on
Thank you.
being married. Congratulations on a happy life. I am so happy for you with that. How was Josh? Was his reaction? What does he think about you being with his friend?
Well, I mean, obviously they weren't friends at one point,
Right.
like especially
It broke off.
after I mean, even before really then like Corey kept trying to just be there as a friend and when he supervised and he even let him live at his house trying to like turn it around so he could be there for the child. And, Corey always okay, I'm just gonna say Cody because he's my husband, obviously. But Cody, throughout all of it, like he just always cared about what was the best interest of the child, and he was trying really hard to be able to make it to where the dad could be in the picture, and it just didn't happen that way. So as time went on, especially after we started dating, Cody and I, and during the very few FaceTime calls, because there was only a few visits that Josh had between the time that Gavin was a baby all the way Owen, sorry, in the book, but you can still put that in there.
Okay.
But Owen, Gavin, as he was a kid all the way up until we terminated rights, there was only about 2 or 3 visits. And so in between there was FaceTimes, and it happened a couple times a year. And during those FaceTimes, it wasn't always directed at Gavin. They were more directed at me and Cody, and they weren't always very nice. And he obviously, um, a lot of the time was drinking during them and said some not nice things. And he obviously was very angry that Cody and I started dating. But you know what? I ended up with a nice guy and I don't really care. And he's a wonderful dad to our child. So, boom,
Yes.
don't care.
Preach. Preach. Yes. Great. 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 I love that. Yeah, and
Okay.
he throughout your relationship, he was never committed anyway. He just, like you said right off the bat, he cheated. You caught him cheating in the beginning. He cheated on you many times in different situations. When he went to California, even when you were like giving him everything that you had, just had your baby, and he still goes, and she's on you. So you do not deserve that in your life. So I am so happy for you right now, for where you
Thank you.
are now, and your
Thank
joy
you.
brings me joy.
Thank you.
So many times in this book, you were desperate for help. You needed help very publicly. There's a time in this book where you literally jump out of a moving car to get away. There are times where he's like pulling you, grabbing you, like lots of moments where you are screaming for help even. And nobody came to your aid. No one helped you. Everyone kind of just stayed out of it. Do you wish, but then there are other times where people did lend a hand. For instance, the military, when they were doing their advice, they were studying him and everything. And there was even a trial. So there were moments where it seemed like you were desperate for help, and there were moments and you didn't get it. And there were moments where people were helping and you kind of turned it down. What kind of are your thoughts with all of that? Do you wish that someone would have helped you, or do you think you would have maybe been like, oh, it's fine, and turned them away, even if they had?
It's hard because, yes, like looking back now, my biggest regret is never pressing charges. And I really wish that one of those people actually had gotten the police to show up for me. And so, as I have people now that have called or texted or messaged through Instagram for help. Like literally one of my biggest first pushes is getting the police involved, especially if it is an active, like I've been called during something and the police did get involved because at the end of the day, like sometimes we need that push to be able to get out too. And I really
Yes.
wish that they were involved a little bit earlier. Even, I mean, I ran away from the police at one point because I didn't want him to get in trouble, and it just doesn't make any sense. I know, believe me, I still don't understand it. I think while I was writing that, I was trying to make my brain understand what I was going through anyways. I don't know, but a lot of us victims and survivors, like we all go through the same mind process of trying to protect them because you don't want to be the reason that everything falls apart for them, even though it is their own actions doing it. It's just a weird little concept.
Yes, and you wrote that beautifully. Like I said, you wrote it so well because I was screaming at moments. I was like, "What is she thinking? No, no!"
What are you
I was
doing? Don't do that.
like, my husband came out and he's like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "She got a loan. She got a loan."
I know.
I was like, "That's such a big loan. What is she doing?"
I know.
And it was like, but then, like right when I felt that way, you wrote your reasoning and you wrote what you were going through. And like I said, I was able to be like, this is not a good move for her, but at the same time be like, as someone who is being abused, as someone who is deeply in love, as someone who doesn't really see at that time the big picture and what's going on, your reasoning made sense, and I could understand why you were you were doing what you were doing. So, but man,
I know. I know. It's hard.
how
And
hard
go ahead.
how hard was it to write this? It was so well written, but it must have been so traumatic to write.
Yeah, so it took me 10 years.
Oh,
Um, but through the process, back then I wrote bits and pieces, and I wrote them so many times because certain phones and things were destroyed that I didn't put in the book. But I had sent some of it to my email back in the day. That's how I was able to keep some bits that jogged my memory. And as I went through EMDR, there were certain pieces that just stood out more and more. And as I re-edited certain things, I think putting more and more detail made me think that maybe it would erase the pain from it. And so I tried to make it more and more detailed, to just try to take it, like if I wrote it down, maybe it would like erase from my memory. I don't know. It
it
was just kind of
works.
a healing. Yeah, it was a healing thing for me to try to put as much detail of what happened to also, because as I was writing this for a lot of it, I didn't even realize that I was gonna try to actually publish it. It was more just trying to be a therapy thing for me to explain to my brain why I put up with that and why I went through it and why I didn't leave earlier. And yeah, it's just been a very big process. Even now, I'm still using the book as therapy because my therapist has me, I have EMDR paddles, and she has me reading the difficult chapters until I don't cry reading them. So maybe eventually you guys will get an audio book. So
Oh my gosh, you were so precious. You were so sweet. That therapy sounds terrible, though. Let me say, not that she's a bad therapist, but I don't know if I could
she's
do that.
honestly a great
I
therapist.
believe it.
I
I'm
mean,
not, that's what I said. I'm sorry to your therapist who's watching this. You are great. Keep up your good work. But at the same time, like, go easy on my girl here. She's been through a lot, okay?
no, it's good. It's just been, through those things, it's been like the best therapy, being able to like process it and reprocess it. And it's, making my nervous system not be like, it's gonna regulate it eventually, and we're gonna get there. So
And that was something that I wanted to ask you was how long did it take to kind of, when after you finally left him for good, you have your son and you hit the highway and you were done for good. How long did it take for your nerves to settle? And from the sounds of it, it's still not 100%. Because I would imagine just kind of being afraid, and I was even surprised for you to get married, especially to someone that is in that world at that time. That also is a bit of a surprise to me. Not that it's bad. I'm really glad that you're happy, but just to like give that trust out again. So that's kind of two questions. How did you give your trust again, and how long did it take? What were some side effects? What were some things you went through even after it was done?
Well, giving out my trust again was a lengthy process because really I there was one person I dated for a tiny bit that was kind of a friend, and they ended up cheating on me during the time after I healed. And so there's that. And besides that, anybody from the good old Tinder and all those lovely dating apps, nobody made it to the second date. And I had a 6 month rule of anybody meeting my child. And so no one really like got past that point besides Cody, which already was the supervisor for my kids' visits. So trusting again was a hard thing. I went through I would say a very unhealthy, like not like self-worth kind of process in the year after. I think a lot of people do. And so the trust was a hard one. But I eventually, Gavin was 2 years old around the time that I started dating, and I left when he was 5 months old. So the long time process after that. And then didn't get married until I think he was around 4. I don't know. I'm getting old, so my
No,
brain
don't
doesn't work.
worry. Mom brain that's a
But
thing.
yeah, so and then healing wise, how long did it take to heal? Well, like you guys know, I am still in therapy. And I think it's just because there's certain things that were re-triggered along the way, and I didn't find the right therapist to actually do the right process. So along the years, I went through quite a few therapists that just didn't get it, and I felt like I was just talking to a wall. And once I finally found the right therapist to dig deep and get into those memories, I've had so much like processed in this short little bit that I've been her client. And so I feel like eventually I'll be able to be out of therapy, but I'm gonna work through a bit more before I get there.
No, yeah, do not rush it. Do not rush it. Everybody is different, and every therapist is different. So I'm really glad that you found one that makes you feel really good. That's great. And
Thank you.
I just like thinking back after seeing the story. I mean, it must have just been like, were you worried he was gonna just like show up on your doorstep even like years
Mhm.
after, or
Yeah, I mean, you like I think the most worry times were when he was in between women. So when he's like fixated on someone, I didn't worry as much, especially when he was in other states. And so, because he's moved around quite a bit and got another strike in another state and different stuff like that. So, um, there was a lot of worry times, and I had to go through a process of being able to, because I had to use sleeping stuff for nightmares for a long time. And, I had a protection order only for a certain time. And then when he moved back to town, I got another protection order. And then one thing that a lot of survivors don't necessarily get, and I wish they all did, is I have a lifetime one now. And so, it's a layer of protection. It doesn't make me feel 100% because like there's no like that isn't like an invisible barrier around my house. And he can still show up at my front door. I don't think he's that stupid, but I don't know.
I don't know either. But
Yeah.
and thinking back on what I had said, like I couldn't believe that you had ended up being with someone that was still kind of part of that world. I actually kind of take that back because thinking about it a little bit more, you guys had it's such an incredible shared experience. Like no one else understands exactly what you went through. No one understands your like love of your kid and you're moving forward because he had to sit between everything. And I actually think it kind of makes sense that you guys ended up together. So that's actually really beautiful.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah.
Thank you.
And for anybody who is, not really sure if they're in a relationship that's super bad just yet. Maybe they're in denial. Maybe they, are giving little excuses. Maybe they love someone so much that it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks. Do you know any like clear signs that you could give that it's just like for you personally, obviously everyone's different, but that was kind of like these are the things that to watch out for in a relationship that's going to maybe turn to be a domestic violence issue?
Yeah, I mean, it starts off with love bombing. I mean, a lot of people they move very fast. So if you guys are moving very fast and it feels that way, take a second to actually like think about it. Like think about his past, do a little research, do a little Google search. Because my lovely one has lots of things on Google now. And actually someone that swiped right on his Tinder messaged me on Instagram and asked some questions. So do your research. Also, the first signs of the red flags, don't just push them aside and think if you can love them enough, they'll stop hurting you because that's not the way it works. And if they start isolating you away from your family, trying to make them seem like they're crazy or they're making you feel this way, like they are very good about manipulating you to isolate you away from them, to have you just to themselves, to mold you exactly the way that they want. So, yeah.
Great advice. Great advice. Yes.
That was great,
uh,
but I mean, I'm trying.
that no, that was fantastic. So everything his reactions were very up down, the love bomb, everything like that. And then he turned violent in a second. A lot of it I noticed had to do with alcohol abuse. He'd get very drunk and then it would go sour. And I feel like another thing I wanted to add to your list was that you mentioned in the book that you were many different times how scared you were even when he wasn't around. And so that was another thing that I wanted to add is like if you're with somebody and you're scared of them coming back home or you're scared of them like or even scared
You
of like
know
what
what
they're
mood they're gonna
doing.
come home in. Yeah.
Yeah, that was another big one that I noticed. Just that kind of that fear. Like even when you're all by yourself and that person's not around, if you're still scared, that's it. That's big red flag.
There's so many signs. I could go on for days,
Oh,
but
I
I
know.
mean
That's why I'm saying everyone
the
needs to read
manipulation yeah, you're
buy
scared of
this
them coming
book.
home is definitely a big one.
There were so many things that I didn't even think of, and I'm listening to you, your emotions. I'm like reading what's happening to you, and you just put everything in this book. Um, like I said, they're just like I said, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about even just being scared when they're not there, and things like that. It's just like your fear is never gone. For years, you just could never like relax, and that I felt that tension through the book. I felt it. So the 10 years writing it, I mean, you've done a great job. Or maybe that's still how you're feeling right now, in which case I'm so sorry. Like I said, you didn't deserve it. You didn't deserve any of it. And I hope that you know that now. And if not, I'm
I
telling
do.
you, you did
I
not
do know
deserve
that
that.
now. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Another thing is that in the story, in the book, in your life, do you feel like for people who are know somebody who could be in a domestic, relationship or any kind of thing, it really doesn't matter. Do you think that they should be talking to the people more and never like letting up, even if they're annoyed, even if they're like your brother, for instance? I want to talk about your brother. He knew right away that Josh was bad news. And you said, well, like, hey, This is my life. Hang up,
Yep. Yep. He
So
actually, I read that to him over the phone, actually, and he was laughing because he's like, that literally sounded exactly like that phone call. And I'm like, you're welcome.
you're like, I only
Because I
write
was a
the
little
truth.
dramatic back then.
I only write the truth.
Yeah.
That's what you say. But but do you feel like that's a really bad way that people look at it? Because as them not being there, it just made you feel so much more isolated. So even would you say that the space is good, or do you think that you should like do you wish your brother would have been on it more? Like you should need to be away from this guy, dump this guy. Like if you heard that more instead of people kind of standing back, do you think that would have made a difference, or do you
I
think
think maybe, I mean, it's hard to like look at it now and be like, I mean, it could have helped. It also could have pushed me away too, because, I did block him for that time. So
you
could he
did?
have just, yes, I did keep him on block until, yeah. So, I feel like I may have pushed back a little bit harder because there are a lot of people that I'm still learning as like an advocate in a sense of like what even is the best approach, because like I don't even know what the perfect approach would have been back then. Like I wish that more people stood by me, but I understand their absence. And now like there's certain people that have pushed me and they're like, I'm fine. We're fine now, like he's better. And like I know that he's not. Like I know because I've been there, but like you have to let them figure it out. So I don't know.
And there's people like now you have now you have a good husband and you have beautiful children who you love. If you had a friend who was constantly struggling, constantly drunk, constantly calling for help, I mean, and you're just trying to live your best life with your little family, it's easy to kind of feel like, oh, okay, maybe I should just cut that person out of my life because they're not good for me. So you
Yeah.
can't fault people for making that decision too. So it's a very tricky thing. It's a thin line, thin
I don't
line.
I don't hold any of those people who exited like I don't hold anything against them because like I understand. I do. And I know that everybody was living their life and I know that what was going on was obviously toxic. I wish that someone like physically like drugged me out and called the cops and brought me to the hospital to be evaluated after some of it. But I think that's what it would have taken is actually being with a cop or like I mean, obviously the military don't even scare it out of me, but going to the hospital, I mean, some of those times like I needed to see a doctor and I don't know why the people that did know some details didn't take me to the doc. But then again, like I'm an adult. I should have brought myself to the doctor, so I don't know.
Well, yeah, but you had a lot going on, you were scared, right? Let's not like go around the bush with it. You were really scared. You were scared about
Yeah.
what he would do, what he would think, how like what people would think, about you, about that. People would ask questions. So, you wrote that you just laid in bed and you couldn't move. You were just like unable to move due to the pain of being, hit constantly. So
Yeah.
it's like, yes, you should have went to the hospital. Absolutely. But at the time, when would you say was a turning point? It was hard for me to tell in the story a little bit. There were definitely moments where I saw you through the end slowly shift. But now that I'm talking to you in person, I want to ask. I feel as a reader, I feel like the trial was a big one because it was the first time that you said, like, I'm lying for this man and I should be up there with her. I should be doing this. And it seemed like you kind of had this moment of like, what am I doing? At least that's what it felt like, which was a breakthrough on your part.
Yeah.
And then there was your son, and obviously getting hit in front of your son, I feel like was another one where it's like, okay, I got to get out of this. But just from
Yeah.
you, when was like the moment that it was like, I have to get out?
Yeah. So I feel like the trial definitely that was one of the turning points, definitely. However, the love bombing that happened after, when he, was in jail was it kept me with my heartstrings, especially being pregnant and hormonal and everything. But because he wasn't cheating on me and he wasn't drinking and he wasn't hurting me, and it was like the most peaceful the whole time was when he was in jail, which obviously is like a here's your sign. He's not like in your actual circle right now. You should probably stay away from him, but obviously that's not what happened. And so, anyways, I fell for the love bombing and the letters and all of that stuff. And then the other turning point was obviously, like you can abuse me and you can hurt me. You shouldn't, but don't like I don't you can't do it in front of my child and you can't do it to my child. And so that was like the moment that it hit, I think, for me is that once he hit me in front of Gavin and once the door hit him, it was just like this like moment of clarity. And it was that little girl in me just begging me to leave. And um, I couldn't just like stay at that point. So that was like the real turning point, I would say.
I'm so glad that you were able to get out and that you were able to have that moment of clarity and just hit the road because you deserved it. Your son deserves it, and I think it's great that you, like I said, I keep having to remember that you made it out of that situation, and I had to think that was the only way I got through the book was because I knew, especially because I started following you on your social media accounts even before I asked you for the interview, which sounds like stalkerish and stuff, but I like found you and it wasn't even book related. I didn't know that you were doing this. It was something with your kids or something because I'm a mom and you were doing something really funny and fun. And I was like, she's so funny. And then I was like, oh my god, she wrote a book. And then it was like, and then I just like deep dived. And I was like, I'm gonna ask her. You said yes. I was thrilled. Like all these things. And then
Yeah.
and so I kind of was like watching that stuff. Then I read it and I was just like devastated that it happened to you. I was like, this is awful. So from this book, from the book here, NUMB, you were he he abused you. He beat you so much and so often, like, and you talked about having physical bruises on your body. Did you just have to cover it all up from makeup because you'd be beat and then you'd go to work and you'd be beat and you go to work? Can you just tell me like how did you was it all covered in makeup? What did your friends at work say? Like how was it to like go through such a traumatic experience and then have to just kind of go live your life with everyone around you not knowing?
A lot of the time, a lot of abusers do the bruises in the spots that are hidden. And so that's it. But I wore, long sleeve shirts that would cover, my wrists and because I talk about like, the bruises that are littered around my wrists and there was a lot of hiding with clothing, certain clothing, or tights because, there was some on my legs and different places. And so I kind of hid them mostly with clothing. And it was almost that I was like living like an alternate, like split worlds of like work and then home and then I go to work and talk to people and have, 10 people in my chair a day. And I was able to like have that happiness and not have to even think about my other life kind of thing after work. And then the one bruise that was the hardest was the one around the military time that literally I remember going over to, I think it was Macy's, because I worked in Northtown Mall at the time. And I walked over and I was going to all these different makeup Sephora and everything and was like, I need to be able to hide this bruise for something. And like, why didn't anyone say like, where did you get the bruise? Come on, like help me. I don't know. But obviously
You
I
showed
didn't help
them
myself.
you showed them and you said I need to cover this bruise.
Well, it was the one on my eye. Like I literally for the
Oh,
one with the military, yeah, I wanted to be able to hide it for him so he wouldn't get kicked out of the military. And so I was again protecting him. And it was so deep that even when I covered it, like I used the most intense covered like stuff. I don't even know how much money I spent on freaking makeup trying to cover this ridiculous thing. And but like you could still see it and you could still see the puffiness and my whole eye was just, like and so as much as I covered it, like people could clearly still see it. The officer, not officer, the military sergeant could definitely still see it. And so, yeah, I had a lot of friends throughout that. And they, didn't know to the extent of what was going on because I only shared what I don't know, I felt comfortable sharing or just not
yeah.
embarrassed of. One of the military wives, obviously, after the bruise and everything, kind of um she was there and I was not the most because I was still trying to cover up for him and I regret to this day of like how I was with her and like blaming her for telling anyone because I don't it wasn't her and even if it was like she was trying to protect me and
Who did she tell? Did she?
well, I don't know if she actually did tell. I just remember that the military had put in the no contact order
Okay.
and that this, that, and the other, someone had called the military telling them about my eye. But going back, it was the first wife. She called trying to press charges for her stuff. And,
Right.
her and I are actually friends now.
I was gonna ask that. I was curious.
Yeah, we kind of have like an ex-wife group. So,
Bigger than you two? Just the two?
well, there's a third wife now that's kind of joined the chat, but and then there
No.
was another,
I'm so
yeah.
sorry
So,
for everyone.
yeah, but we all have been there for each other, and as time goes on, we're all gonna just continue to be there for whatever ones need us and providing any type of documentation that is needed
Absolutely.
and they
Stick
are
together.
allowed to
Stick
have
together.
yeah so yeah
Yep.
I'm not gonna protect him anymore. I'm protecting the
No.
wives now.
Yes, absolutely. As it should be. As it
So
should be. I'm very proud of everything that you've done and accomplished. And it seems
thank you.
like you're sort of becoming um, kind of an advocate for domestic violence. Is that something that you want or planned on having happen when you published your book? Or is that kind of, how are you kind of
um
getting into that?
it's it's kind of fallen in my lap a little bit more than I mean when I first published it I went back and forth because I was very nervous about putting my real life out there and for the whole world to see. And at first I was like, okay, if I sell 10 books and it just like hits one person, then that is like all that I needed. Like that it did its purpose and we're getting close to like up around 500 is around the
Yes.
amount.
Good.
Yeah. And so it's kind of just been a whirlwind of, and YWCA, I'm working with them a lot. And, my video from their YWCA, like their fundraising event.
Yes.
They're using that in more ways than just that now. They actually put it as a part of their tour um, and a lot of people do reach out for resources, and a lot of people don't realize that in every state there is a resource program there. And I didn't know that before any of this. So, just for me, I just want to keep creating awareness so then the people that need it know that there's programs in their area and they can get help. Or if other people don't know what to do, that their coworker is going through something, getting a hold of that program and trying to get some resources to them is that would be a very good idea.
Yes. A great idea. And I didn't know that either. I was going to ask you, but I didn't know how much you knew about that. Like, so there are definitely resources in every state for domestic violence. Do you know anything specific or not? You're not really
I
sure.
know at least in every state you have at least one program. And so in our state, I don't even know how many programs there are. There's ones throughout the state. There's some in Ellensburg and Cle Elum and Spokane and Seattle. And so there's plenty of programs just in Washington state alone. And so if you're scared, like, okay, I don't want to drive to the other side of the state to go to their shelter, like it's just not realistic. They look in your city, you can look on Google for resources and then do your zip code and they should be able to help you. Or just whatever one pops up, you can call that phone number and they'll give you something closer to you. So,
Perfect. Thank you so much for that information. That can really help a lot of people.
yes.
And yeah, so how did the what is it though? YWCA, did they contacted you and found you?
So, I've worked with YWCA because long time ago, I originally used their phone line when I was going through it. And it was just one of the phone lines that had popped up at the time of something that I was going through. And then also I've used their lawyer resources. And so once I was finally out, I wanted to be able to give back to them. And so I did 20% of my book sales in October when I first published it, went back to them. And then after that, they kind of started reaching out. They wanted to do a blog about me. And then they asked me to do their interview. And, we've kind of started working with each other here and there. And so it's been amazing. So yeah,
And what was it
happy to be on the other
like?
side.
Good. And what was it like having to, because it's something different. Like you said, you were starting it out just as therapy and just writing pieces of it down. Then you decided to maybe make it longer, publish it. That's very different from standing on a stage with with thousands of people watching you and you having to talk about your story. Even now, we can kind of pretend like you're just talking to me, even though other people will see it. But it's very
Yeah.
different than standing up and having everyone watch you. Was that terrifying?
So I didn't actually have to talk, thank goodness,
Okay,
because I
okay,
felt like, yeah. So they showed my video that they had taken, and it was my survivor video. And
okay,
then they had me walk on stage, and I accepted flowers. And so it wasn't like
okay, good.
super hard, but there were 1,000 people there. They did watch my video. I was crying behind the stage. It was very hard for me to go back on there. Went off the wrong side of the stage afterwards. And then I may have hid behind the curtain for like 10 minutes after that before I went to my seat. So,
You were so cute. That's so funny. I mean, it's not funny. It's horrible. I'm so sorry.
yeah.
Um,
No, it's okay.
I would have done
It
the
was
same
funny to
thing.
me. Like it's funny now, I guess. It wasn't funny at the time, but
No, no, it's not funny at all. Because that would just be scary. You'd be so scared you're hiding behind the curtain. That's actually awful, and I don't know why I'm smiling. It's just I'm a bad person, okay?
I'm an awkward person and I laugh about really awkward situations. So
I
I laugh too. It's okay.
smile. I smile, but like,
Yeah.
those people that like someone dies and you like inappropriate reactions, that's me sometimes. Sometimes I smile.
Well, that
It's
and
bad.
also on social media, why they have the like heart care emoji right next to the laughing emoji? Why
Yes.
is that a thing? Like
I
that's
don't
how I
know.
feel like I accidentally laugh at certain stuff, but like I'm not actually laughing at someone dying and I'm trying to put care and I
Someone's
don't know if
sick in
they
the
saw.
hospital. You're like, I'm
Yeah,
laughing.
why is
Sucks to
the
be
laughing
you.
emoji? Like what in the world? Who did that?
We're writing a complaint right now. Fix that,
Yes.
please. Please
Yeah,
fix it.
exactly. Please put like the angry emoji. I don't even know. Something
Anything.
else.
You're so funny. Did
Thanks.
so did like did a ton of people come up to you after and you had to like talk to them one on one, or were you able to kind of hide and get out of there with your flowers?
A lot of people talk to me afterwards because they sat me at the table with the CEO right next to the stage. So I had to literally go through an entire crowd of 1,000 people to get to the door. And then, which is fine, and then I had to sell my books afterwards, even though there was volunteers at the tables. And so I went and there was one lady that came up and she's like, I know that you like hid behind the curtain afterwards but I really wish that you actually came out because you had like a standing ovation of everybody and there was not a dry eye in the house and I just wanted you to know that. And I was like, okay, I'm glad you told me that, but like I swear I looked out, but like I didn't see anything. Like I saw blank. Like and she's like, you did great. I'm like, yeah, I'm such an awkward person. I'm just so glad that I didn't fall.
I mean, and this is what I was trying to tell you. This is so different because you're writing a book about yourself, and it's something that's awful, something that happened to you that's this horrible experience. And so, of course, you're back there like just traumatized because you had to relive your own thing, and then you have to go through it. Like I understand, even me, like I messaged you after I read the book and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't know how to tell you that I loved your book when it's all about you getting abused. Like I didn't know how to tell you. Um, because like I said, I really loved the book. I loved everything that you wrote, but it was so hard to express that. So I can understand that even after the thing. Like you got a standing ovation, you're like, thanks. Like
Thanks. I didn't
I'm
see it.
glad they
That's
liked
great
my
though.
it's like you have to remember that they're applauding you and your bravery, your triumph,
Yep.
and your success as someone who got over that, as a survivor,
Yeah.
as an author. You are an author now. I don't know if you know
Yeah.
that, but you are an author now. You can say that. I'm an author.
Yes.
You can tell people.
I know.
I cut
I know.
hair and I'm an
I'm very
author.
awkward.
Like
Yeah.
that cutting hair thing is like in the past. You're an author now.
I
Um
know.
but it's because they're the standing ovation. It's because of you. It's not because of what you went through. It's like, hopefully you can see that every book bought, everyone who supports you, me, I was drawn to you because I was drawn to you as a person. Um,
Thank you.
and so you have great charisma, you have great family, great kids,
Thank
a
you.
great book, and I support you
Thank you.
100% in everything you do in the future. I just
Mm.
yeah, I hope you understand that.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. My
yeah,
next book won't be as like hard to read, so
your
it'll be a little bit
next
lighter of a read. There we go.
book. That is what I want to talk about next. Your next book. That was music to my ears. Because like I said, this book was so good. Your next book, is it going to be about your life as well? Are you doing like fiction? You're just blowing it up. I'm writing a mystery and that's, you know what I mean? Like, or are you going to keep kind of advocating for domestic violence and writing more books about that? Like, what direction are you going?
It's weird because I don't know the full direction. I'm kind of all over the place
You
right
can change
now.
your
I
mind.
have
It's just in this moment.
yeah, so I'm writing three books, three different books at the time. It depends on what mood I'm in to add to which one. Because part of me throughout this whole thing when I first published it, I figured at one point I'd hit a wall and want to hide under a rock and then just do no more, but it has blown up quite a bit more than I thought it would. And so I haven't been able to hide under a rock yet. And so,
No curtains.
uh, yeah. So, I did start writing the second book to Numb, and so it'll be Numb still. And I don't know if it's just for me or if I'm actually going to publish that one either. Because I've had so many survivors that are like, okay, what about the messy part after? Like, I want someone who puts it on paper, who understands the actual messiness. And with your writing, like, you put everything in there, and like all these other books or these books are just like, oh, and then I found love and that was it. Like, no, there's like a real messy part where you just like lose it afterwards while you're trying to find laughter. And I'm still a little disappointed in that part of myself of that spot. Like, I was quite a bit of a mess. Um, and a lot of people don't know certain bits that happened during that time. And, I think it would be good to put it out there that it's okay to not be okay and it's okay to have those messy bits during that time. Nobody's perfect. There's no perfect like way to go about healing and processing it and trying to date again after that. Like there's no perfect version of that. And so I may publish it. I don't know. We're in the process. And then I went to the way lighter side and I'm writing a children's book. So
Yes.
totally different direction. And so I decided to start a series of the Schwartz adventures because my kids want something they can read, which is totally understandable since they can't read my first book until they're well over 18. Uh,
Yes.
so, so
Maybe
the first
forever.
yeah, so the first book out of the series will be about Benny the squirrel that we got. Yeah, we saved a little squirrel at 2 weeks old and rose it up, and that'll be the first book of the series for that one. So yeah,
Great. I love that for you. I love that for you. That is so exciting. And the kids, like my son's like, please can I have a YouTube channel?
yeah,
You're having one? Like
100%.
so yeah, we do things for the kids. And writing a
Yeah,
children's book, I can't wait to read it. I'll buy it for my children. I'm gonna tell you right now. So I'm following you. I'm buying everything that you ever make from now on.
you're so sweet. Thank you.
I would have bought this one, but you sent it to me. You're so nice.
I did.
I have to buy it for someone else. Keep supporting you. And
You're so sweet. Thank you.
I absolutely support the idea of publishing a second one about it. I also was like wanting to know more about what happened next for you, and especially if, other survivors are kind of saying that because the way you write, like I said, a normal, it's not what you'd expect, it's not like clinical. It's literally just like raw emotion and action. And I think a second book would be amazing, but I also understand that it's your life and that's really hard to put out there. So we'll just kind of see how you feel with this one. Your therapy, like never, don't, if you get more famous, if you get more recognition, like don't let that pressure you to make a choice that if you're not ready for it too, so make sure that
Yeah.
you just do what you want to do. But I definitely, if you decide to publish, I will absolutely be getting it. So
Thank you.
just so you know.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, so your kids, I just want to end it on a happy note here. Your kids are amazing, right? And your husband is great. And you
Yeah.
are just living your best life, right?
I am. I am. I am very blessed with my three kids and my husband. And, we live a very good life, honestly. I love that my kids have humor and they're in a safe, house and with parents that actually love each other and, create that safety. And another thing that I do want to say before we get to the end
Please.
of this that a lot of people
Absolutely.
don't know is I don't know in your country, but in our country, you can actually text 911. And a lot of people don't know that. And so in DV situations, I just wanted to like put that out there that, you can text them for help and you can give your address and then delete it. And because a phone call is a lot different where you're having to whisper and trying to find a room away from someone. So yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. I did not know that either. So thank you so much for that. And
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying. You know so much. You know so much about what it feels like to be going through these things. You know what it feels like to be stepping out of it. And you know the process. And especially the texting 911. I think it's great because you had said that that might have been the thing that brought you out of it sooner, is if you had a cop there to kind of step in a lot earlier. So, absolutely, if you're in a bad relationship, if you're scared, if anything's going on like that, text 911. I did not know that. That's great advice. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christina. I'm so happy that you're here with me and that you came on to this channel with me. I'm just so honored. Can you tell me, do you have any upcoming events or anything that's coming up that you're going to be at where people could maybe meet you, get your book, get a signing?
Yes. So I have a Boise signing at Barnes and Noble July 25th from 2 to 4. So if you're in that area, I'd love to see you and meet your face. And if you already have my book, come in and get it signed. And then I also will be having a Barnes and Noble signing in October again at Northtown Mall again, because that's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And also in that month, I do 20% of my sales goes to YWCA. So I'm going to promote during that month just to create a little bit more awareness and give back to our local community here. So yeah.
Fantastic. Well, you heard it straight from the author's mouth. So everyone go there, get a book, get it signed. That will be absolutely, shouldn't miss it. Can't miss it. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. Well, thank you so much for coming here with me and talking about it. I know it was not always easy, and talking about your book, writing your book. None of it has been easy. Living through it definitely wasn't easy. But I think you're doing great things for yourself and for everyone. And I really look forward to reading anything that you make, even the children's book. I'm buying it. So thank you for being here with me. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for everything. Seriously, it's been nice to get to know you, and you have such a kind, sweet face, and you're so funny. So this was great.
Thank
It was
you.
very easy.
Thank you so much. I love that. I love that. Yeah, and if anybody, wants to be on here, wrote a book, let me know. And for anybody who wants her book, NUMB, again, here, you can obviously go get it at her signing, which you should do. But for all the people that do not live really close to the author, I have a link below. You guys can go ahead and get it off of Amazon right away, right now. It's here waiting for you. So go ahead and get it. It's NUMB by Christina Schwartz, and you are not going to regret it. I promise you. So
Thank
thank
you
you
so
so much
much.
for being here with me, and I cannot wait to talk to you again soon, I hope.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.